So let's take a look at the news going on. I love this story right here. There's a conservative, pro-Trump lawyer, guy named Lynn Wood, and somebody else with him named Sidney Powell, just recently put on a pro-Trump political rally in Georgia. And I got to tell you, he makes a compelling case for one point. It's probably one of the very few times I'll ever agree with a conservative talking, but that is to tell Republicans in Georgia to not vote in the Senate runoff election. I love it. I absolutely love this message. Yes, please spread the word. If you're a Republican, don't vote in Georgia. In fact, if you're a Republican, don't vote. The system's rigged, man. Lynn Wood and Powell, man. They figured it out, man. Giuliani knows, man. They know that the system's rigged, man, because, you Republicans, you're so smart. You're always so smart. So, yeah, a total rampant voter fraud. Let's listen to a clip of Lynn Wood talking about this.
Do not be fooled twice. This is Georgia. We ain't dumb. We're not going to go vote on January 5th in another machine made by China. You're not going to fool Georgians again.
So, yeah, you Republicans, you figured it out. It's all a fraud. Everything's a joke. Don't bother voting in the election. Don't give them the satisfaction of just, filling out your ballot just to have them, burn it or throw it away. You know what they say, like every single vote for Trump actually equaled 17 votes for Biden. Yeah, it was, but you figured it out. You found our nefarious scheme from the left, the radical left's diabolical plan to implement one of the most conservative Democrats. Yes, you figured it out. We plotted to get Biden in, but didn't bother with the Senate. Yes, that was our plan. You're so smart. You're always so smart. So hey, I'll tell you, now that you've blown the lid off this whole thing, I got to tell you, George Soros gave me a ride in the Antifa van, the one that runs on aborted fetuses, and I personally dropped off 700,000 Biden votes myself. Very proud of myself, The diabolical left. Yeah, Republicans have figured it out. Don't vote. Do not vote in these elections. It's all a sham. You're too smart for this. Just if you're in Georgia, especially don't vote. But seriously, folks, in case anybody's not familiar, I really want to stress, just because Biden got elected, I talked about this earlier in the show, I know, but, remember this. Just because Biden got elected doesn't mean you can go hibernate for another 10 years now. You're like, okay, all right, I did my part. I voted. Democracy is safe forever again. Trump is gone. No, man. Come on. Even right now, lame duck Trump is being a petulant child, and he is doing everything he can to destroy our country, tearing up wildlife, people's homes being destroyed in pursuit of building his stupid fucking wall. Like, even now, he's doing as much damage as he can on the way out. It's so ridiculous. And what's scary to me is I think that there's a lot of people, a lot of well-intentioned people, a lot of good people, a lot of well-meaning people who don't realize that you still have to pay attention. You still have to have to look. You still have to vote. You still have to vet these people. You still have to keep your eyes open. Yes, I'm glad that a lot of people turned out to vote, against Trump. And that's great. But are you still going to stick around? That's the thing. You have to stick around. I'm not talking about watching C-SPAN for 16 hours a day kind of level of stuff. You don't have to be a political analyst for the Young Turks or something. I'm talking about just paying attention, just keeping your eyes open, and still voting. Because here's the thing. In Georgia, there's a runoff election. Runoff election, for anybody who doesn't know, occurs when no one candidate earns the majority of the votes in that particular election. So they basically have a do-over. And so here's the thing. Right now, Republicans hold the Senate with 50 seats to 48 for the Democrats. And the thing is, Democrats hold the House. They have a majority in the House. Republicans have a majority in the Senate. The problem is when Joey B gets into the office, if he has to deal with a Senate controlled by Republicans still, and Mitch McConnell, he's going to have a very hard time. I mean, I already don't expect a lot from Joe Biden, but it's going to be even worse when he does try to maybe do something halfway decent, and then he can't do it. Because, Mitch McConnell and his whole, Grim Reaper of everything wants to just block everything. Because, Mitch McConnell, his job as he sees it is not to help the American people. His job as he sees it, and I'm sure he, if you got him to tell the truth one time in his life, he'd say it. He'd admit, he'd say, no, my job is to keep my donors happy and to keep the wealthy happy, keep myself in power, keep Republicans in power, et cetera, et cetera. His job, as he sees it in his mind, is not to help the American people. His job is to stand up to the American people and say, no democracy for you. So what I'm getting at with my rambling tirade here, Jesus, I'm sorry, guys. What I'm getting at here is that if Democrats can oust the 2 incumbent Republicans in the Senate and take those seats instead, that would bring us to 50-50, a tie. But here's the thing. The tie-breaking vote in anything would be from Kamala Harris, meaning the Democrats would pretty much have it in the bag at that point. And that's very important. If the Dems can get the Senate, then we'd actually be looking pretty okay to maybe be able to push Joe a little further left. Like, I feel like he can be pushed a little bit. He has softened in certain things, partly because of Bernie Sanders pushing him and things like that. He's kind of softened on certain things. And I feel like people can push him further, keep the pressure up, but is going to be if the Democrats have the Senate. So pay attention. I know a lot of folks listening to this probably aren't going to be in Georgia. And they're going to say, what the hell can I do? Well, you can do phone banking. You can do certain other things, I guess. But you need to pay attention to this. You need to know how our democracy works and how being the president alone does not reverse everything. It does not fix everything. It does not give unilateral power, as much as Donald Trump might want that to be the case. Here's hoping. Don't stop paying attention. What you just heard was an excerpt from the Josh Rants Podcast. Coming soon.